Building materials are a huge part of our industry. There's a lot involved in the engineering and technical expertise it takes to rig and move thousands of pounds of materials, especially with all the other activity on the job site.
It may be the cranes, derricks, and hoists that do the heavy lifting, but without proper rigging, it all falls apart, literally. It's the slings and connectors that support the suspended loads, ensure materials remain in good working order, and keep people safe. Look at any load, and you'll see there's a lot at stake. Can you imagine the damage to property, or more importantly, the injury to a person if the load were to fall? A properly rigged load is a safe load.
That means understanding the uses for different types of slings and connectors, following the inspection process, using safe work practices around cranes, and preventing common hazards throughout the rigging process.
How much is riding on the slings you use? Everything. A sling should be selected based on the materials to be moved and the conditions of the workplace. Making the right choices about sling selection and conditions can help prolong the life of our equipment, protect the materials, ensure we meet production schedules, and help prevent falling loads. Let's take a quick look at the kinds of slings most often used in mechanical construction.
Synthetic slings are very popular because they're strong, easy to use, and durable. Inspect each sling before use. Look for acid or caustic burns, melting or charring, snags, punctures, tears or cuts, broken or worn stitches, and distortion of fittings. Also, each synthetic sling must have marks or codes that show the manufacturer, its trademark, the rated capacity for the type of hitch and the type of material. Alloy steel chain slings are strong and have the ability to adapt to the shape of the load. Inspect alloy steel chain slings for stretching, excessive wear, nicks, and gouges. All alloy steel chain slings must have a permanently attached identification tag stating the size, grade, rated capacity, and the name of the sling manufacturer. Wire rope slings are known for their strength, ability to bend without distortion, and the ability to withstand abrasive wear and abuse. Before use, look for signs of wear like crushed sections, corrosion, kinking, or any broken wires. A wire rope is defective if there are 5 or more broken wires in one rope lay, or there are 3 or more broken wires in one strand of one rope lay. Finally, natural rope and synthetic fiber slings are used primarily for temporary work. They're the sling of choice for highly finished or fragile materials and delicate equipment. Check for abnormal wear, powdered fibers between strands, broken fibers, variations in the roundness of strands, discoloration or rotting, and distortion of hardware in the sling. After inspecting any sling, check its rated load capacity for the configuration in which it will be used and compare it to the weight of the load you'll be rigging. If the weight of the load is greater than the stated capacity, don't use the sling. Find another sling that has an adequate load rating.
Choosing the right sling is just one step. What about the connectors, like shackles and hooks? Just like slings, they need to be selected based on their load capacity. Also, they must be in good condition.
Inspect connectors before use. Look for excessive rusting, bends, cracks, nicks, gouges, corrosion, or any other type of damage. Any sling or connector showing any kind of defect is not safe to use and should be taken out of service immediately. Remember, when taking any type of defective equipment out of service, always follow your company's established procedures.
Not getting the load capacity right, poor rigging practices, skipping inspections, and not removing defective equipment from service all cause loads to fall. Let's see how to get the job done right. Here's what you need to do anytime you rig a load.
Safe rigging also means understanding the basics of safe crane, derrick, and hoist operation. Before you start to rig a load, take a look at the lifting equipment. Cranes and derricks should be on firm, level surfaces. Outriggers should be extended. Guide the operator so the boom is centered directly over the load. This avoids side pulls, which can lead to slipping loads and damaged rigging equipment.
Pinch points are a common rigging hazard. They happen when hands and fingers get in the way of a shifting load or a tightening sling.
There are two ways to protect your hands. First, always wear gloves. Second, be aware of the position of your hands. Make sure they won't be pinched if the load shifts or the sling tightens. Again, having the crane lift straight up whenever possible can also help avoid pinch point injuries. Watch carefully for the load to swing or roll as the lift begins, and make sure you have room to get out of the way. You don't want to get caught between the load and other stacked materials or equipment. Any swinging load can become a serious struck-by hazard when workers are in its path. Make sure loads are always lifted straight up. Always use tag lines to control the load and stay alert to the path of the load. Weather conditions are also a factor. If it's too windy, don't lift materials. Never stand or work under a suspended load, and whenever it's possible, don't move loads over areas where work is taking place. Make sure that others in the area are alerted about overhead lifts by signaling with a horn or another equally effective method. As always with all overhead hazards, wear a hard hat.
What about receiving a load? After getting the load safely to its destination, you want to make sure it lands safely as well. Start by making sure the area where the load will land is firm, flat, and free of objects that could fly up when it lands.
Only one person should communicate with the operator. Know how to use the proper hand signals to safely and clearly communicate with the operator. Even if you use a two-way radio or a cell phone, it's good to know the hand signals in case electronic communications break down. Most importantly, if you determine something is not right, immediately give the stop signal. Don't proceed until you're confident the issue has been safely resolved. As the load comes down, make sure your feet are out from under it. Sounds logical, but some workers get so focused on the load that they forget to move their feet. Signal the operator to set the load down slowly and easily, so if it rolls on the blocking, you have plenty of time to get out of the way.
Another rigging hazard that sometimes occurs when we're hanging hoists is when the anchors used for rigging fail. This can happen in a number of ways.
For example, an oversized hole. This is when the anchor hole is larger than the manufacturer recommends. Another example is improper shell seating, which occurs when anchors are improperly installed at the wrong angle. Rigging anchor failure can be avoided if the composition of the concrete is correct, if manufacturer's instructions for anchor holes are followed, and if anchors are installed at the proper angle. Be sure to check out these potential hazards before you hang a hoist.
Falls are another common hazard associated with rigging. Can you believe that some workers still think it's okay to ride on a load? It still happens, and unfortunately for them, all too often gravity intervenes. The solution is simple: never ride the load.
Falls can also happen when someone on an upper level is waiting to receive a load. Slip, trip, or reach too far, and you can easily go over the side. Anytime you're 6 feet or more above a lower level, you need fall prevention, such as a guardrail system, or fall protection, such as a personal fall arrest system.
Good rigging is a unique responsibility that ensures the load stays suspended for the entire journey and reaches its destination safely and securely.
Remember to choose the appropriate sling and connectors for the situation. Inspect the sling and the connectors before you put them into use. Watch for pinch points and avoid swinging loads. Use a tag line to guide the load. Make sure you have good communication with the crane operator and avoid falls by using fall prevention or protection. Finally, ensure that the hoist anchor points are secure.
The ability to raise heavy materials high above the ground requires extreme engineering and technical expertise. Proper rigging ensures the materials remain in good working order and that people working near the load can continue to work safely.